Internets, we already told you, and we're still super excited about this live 1-year anniversary show, Premium Pete Show in New York City at the WeWork Soho location space. Let me tell you something. I am so excited that we collaborated with WeWork because listen, their locations are dope, but the Soho location is next level.
That's right.
So I want you to check for them at WeWork.com and check out any locations they have in your area because they're doing dope shit and they're doing shit for creatives. And I fuck with that. And I fuck with them that they collaborated with us and gave us a chance to have the internets come and celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Premium Pete Show. Sponsored by UN Athletics. Listen, shouts to UN Athletics. They listen, they're up to so many things. They just did a collab with 2 Chainz. It's official. Check them out on unathletics.com. And I will say, listen, we're going to have past guests, special guests, costume changes by Miss Lissa Knows.
Got that right.
I think I'm going to do a little bit of comedy that night.
You are.
Who knows? Snacks, beverages. Maybe I'll even bring some fucking pizza. DJ Ted Smooth on the 1 and 2s. The Remix King will be in the building. And listen, just a lot of friends, family, and I want you there. I want you to be there and listen, and I want to meet you.
We both want you there. Come through.
RSVP at ppsrsvp@gmail.com. Again, I give it that to you. ppsrsvp@gmail.com. See you at the show May 4th, 7-11.
7-11. What Beyonce said, 7-11. 7-11. See you there, 7-11.
Internets, this episode is sponsored by the College of Hip Hop.
That's right.
Let me tell you something. I've been getting so many people hit me up about, yo, Pete, I heard you talk about this College of Hip Hop. I downloaded the app. I fuck with it. It's official. And I'm glad that we're able to put somebody on because let me tell you something. It's not about them only sponsoring. It's about you guys learning that there's shit out there to expand your mind.
Open up your mind, Craig.
They got interviews.
Whether you got a GED, a PhD, or you down with OPP, this is the information station to be.
Exactly. They got interviews. They got, publications. They got all information.
Templates for some contracts. They're going to answer all of your need-to-know questions in this music industry.
Stop fucking around. Just go download the College of Hip Hop.
And don't be trying to call your homeboy who the producer
you don't need that.
who over there. You just need this app.
Go get the app.
How much it costs?
Free $99.
Get the woo out of here.
College of Hip Hop app. Download that today. Tell them Premium Pete Show sent you.
And if you can, give me some bundles while you at it.
Cheer.
Thank you.
Come on, everybody get set, let's go. It's the next episode. It's the Premium Pete Show. News, interviews, all of the info. Listen up, it's the Premium Pete Show. If you want the scoop in the low, down low, listen to the show, cause Milk said so. Fuck what you heard, better act like you know. Miss Lissa knows. It's the Premium Pete Show.
This is the Fordham section of the Bronx. My home. A world unto itself. You can get to any borough in 15 minutes from here, but they might as well be 3,000 miles away. There's my building, 667 East 187th Street. There's my stoop. And on warm summer nights all through the neighborhood, you would hear the sounds of young Italian men romancing their women. There's Mount Carmel Church, and the sound of the bells would fill the neighborhood. That's about it I remember. It stops there.
Hey,
Pete.
what happens if you would change it into 2017? What would it say?
This is the Premium Pete Studio.
No, this is Premium Pete Studio. Well, let me tell you something. Right off the bat, before we even say, we're going to reintroduce you twice. We got Lillo Brancato in the house, okay? But before I even say that, I want to say, when you spoke those vocals, where the fuck were you? Meaning, like, were you in a studio? When those are voiceovers, right? That's a voiceover,
Absolutely.
Right? Where were you when you did that voiceover?
It was a place called Sound One Studio on 1619 Broadway.
Okay. And that's where you were invited. How did that happen? Like, they told you had to come in and do that? Was part of the job for the movie?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, I knew from the beginning, the script, and then it would have, VO for voiceover.
Okay. Well, we'll get right into it. Lissa, welcome back to another episode.
I'm excited because Calogeno's here.
Oh, well, listen, Lillo Brancato's here.
Listen, I'm black, okay? Calogeno is in the building, y'all. Calogeno is in the building, and y'all know Calogeno likes some chocolate, so I'm here, one of the greats, opening doors, ready for you.
Okay. Well, listen, first off, we're going to even just bring people back just to, what I like to do with the show is, and this is what I was telling Lillo, is we like to have multiple different people on, whether that be comedians or jewelers or rappers or entrepreneurs or actors or just, just really just diversifying, people's ear holes, so to speak, so they could hear things and learn things about people and what it took and some of the times and moments. So let's take them back to even just Lillo Brancato growing up. Now, growing up, Lillo, I know that, you were adopted, right?
Right.
At how old were you when you were adopted?
I was 4 months old.
Did you even get a chance to ever meet your original parents?
No, I didn't.
Do you know anything about them?
I knew that, I knew I was born in Bogota, Colombia. I knew my last name was Rodriguez. My name was Saul Rodriguez. I know that my biological mother's name was Patricia, or Patricia, as you would say in Spanish. The father's name, I never knew. As far as being curious to want to know who they are now, I mean, I don't really have a reason for that. I have a great family. I was adopted into I couldn't have asked for a better family than I was adopted by. The only reason why I would ever want to know some sort of background was because, there's maybe some illnesses that I would be predisposed to genetically that I would want to know about. So therefore prepare and maybe maybe do things, maybe don't eat a certain type of food that would trigger off that illness.
Sure, could be diabetic or something.
Absolutely.
Now, when did you find out that you were adopted?
Believe it or not, I always knew that I was adopted, but I didn't know what the word meant.
But how? How did you know that way?
The day I found out, I was in Catholic school. And, I was brought up, Italian parents. My father's Sicilian, off the boat, build houses. My mother's Calabrese.
The parents that took you in.
Right. My mother's Calabrese, off the boat. So they're like not Italian Americans. They're Italians from Italy. And they have, a very strong work ethic. And, they gave us more than they ever even dreamed of having. My father worked like he's suffering for it now. He's, not in the best of health because of how hard he worked his whole life. And I remember one day, I don't remember what it was. I did something bad. I was a bad kid, and I remember my father whipped my ass. It gave me gave you a beating. The beatings that we got back then, you do that to your kids now, you're going to do time.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. You brought them into this world, but you can't touch them.
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember I got my ass whipped, and I remember and I remember my mother came in my room, and you all right? And I said, yeah, I'm all right. And then she told me, she said, she goes, we're not your parents, right? And I says, yeah, no, I know. I says, Mary and Joseph are. I was going to Catholic school, and that's what they teach you. I said, yeah, Mary and Joseph. And my mother said, oh, no. She goes, no. And she told me, she said, you're adopted. She said, and what that means is that you were given, someone else gave birth to you, and they couldn't take care of you for whatever reason. And then we saw you, and then we adopted you, and that was like, whoa, changed my whole life. Do
you remember how old you were when?
I had to be about 8, 9 years old.
Did you ever find out the circumstances why your parents gave you up for adoption?
No, I didn't. I don't know if you've ever seen a show called Narcos.
Yeah.
You ever see it on Netflix?
Yeah.
That possibly maybe shed some light because I was born in Colombia in that time, 76.
Right.
And that was during the rise of Pablo Escobar and how violent that country was and what was going on. I mean, there's many different reasons. Maybe, maybe from watching the show, maybe I had that in my mind, but hopefully it was for, a good reason.
Now, let me ask you, did honestly, and as someone who's became a friend of yours, did that bother you, growing up? Did that ever bother you in a sense of where it hurt you? That, that you never got a chance to know who your mother and father was? I asked that, and I'll tell you why I asked that. I asked that because I know a lot of people dealt with even addictions, and I'm not saying, a lot of that sometimes is because of, wanting to chase for their parents or the depression of, does that bother you like that?
No, it doesn't. Me and my brother are very different. I have a brother, his name is Vincent. Mm-hmm. I'm 40, he's going to be 40 May 12th. Mm-hmm. We're 9 months apart. And, people say, 9 months, they think like we're real brothers. Like 9 months are probably, what,
Yeah,
your
how did
mother
that
come
happen?
home from the hospital and have sex that night?
Right. Irish twins.
So, and my brother's like, we're very different. We have very different personalities. He's very rigid. He's like got that old school Italian mentality.
Sure.
He's fucking very. And I'm more like, I like to joke around. I don't know, sometimes it doesn't bother me. I can't really say it bothers me, but sometimes it arouses curiosity in me as to why I am the way I am in certain aspects and why he's so different. You know what I mean? It just makes me want to see my real parents in action for just a half hour, just to see how they interact with each other and what kind of people they were. So then I may say to myself, like, oh, all right, well, that's why I like to break balls, because he used to do it too.
Yeah.
Or,
But do you feel that when your mother came in and talked to you, you say you were 8, 9 years old. After that, was it a spiral down of getting into trouble and becoming a knucklehead, so to speak?
Well, I got in trouble because I was always very disruptive in class, and I always wanted attention. I always had to be the center of attention type of guy. But I always did well. Like I was always just like a good student. Like I always was an honor roll student. I always excelled in as far as in education.
Sure.
But, I got into fights and, stuff like that. And I was thrown out of St. Anne's. I was thrown out of Westlake High School.
Now, when you went to Catholic
Sacred
school,
Heart, I was thrown out of like 4 or 5
when you went to
schools.
Catholic school, there was nuns there, no?
Yeah.
How, and were they allowed to hit anybody at that time?
Yeah, they were.
Really?
Yes.
You ever get hit by a nun?
I got hit by a brother John Bance.
Oh.
Brother John in Mount St. Michael.
Really?
Yeah, I got hit in junior high school. I remember I was sent to the office like every single class, like 4 classes in a row. I kept getting sent to the office, and he's like, you again? So he called my mother up, and he said, listen, your son's, he's, getting in trouble every single period, and, can I have permission to hit him? And my mother's, please. My mother's like, please kill him if you want.
You know what's so funny? Italian mothers back then, it's funny because I was in Catholic school. I got kicked out when I was in the 3rd grade, and I went to public school. But Italian mothers were relied on that system to be like, yeah, sure, give them a fucking crack.
That's all they know. That's all they know.
No, but if you think about it, it's like Catholic school is, the whole system of the nuns and the stuff like that. Like, what did it really teach you? That they hit you with a ruler, or that they hit you? Like, did that ever teach anybody anything? You know what I mean?
Does it really work? No, I don't. I mean, I think I don't want to get into it all, but I think I am Roman Catholic, but I think there are many flaws. I think, the fact that priests can't get married causes a lot of problems, it affects a lot of kids. I'm not going to get into why, but I think it's pretty obvious.
I have spoke about it on multiple episodes about how, even me, that's why I don't go to church like that anymore. I go to a Baptist church because, what it is, I go to Catholic church and it's like you can't relate to anything. It's like you would want them to be married so you could hear about, hear part of the mass to be about what they're going through and stuff like that. So, but didn't you played a priest later on in life? What'd you play a priest in, didn't you?
Yes, I did in a movie called Monsters of Mulberry Street. It was actually the first thing I did when I came home from prison, and I thought, what better than to play a role as a priest?
Yeah.
The kid, Frankie, he's from Yonkers. He went to my high school. He's a younger kid, and he came to my house literally with a script and a box of cookies. And he said, Lillo, I got this script, I want you to be, we look up to you, him and a few of his friends from Yonkers, they were actors and they were aspiring, to do movies and stuff. And came to my house and said, we want you to be in this movie. And they offered me a role. The character's name was Rocco, but in the script, the guy was, it was all about violence and all this. I just didn't think that something like that at that particular time would do me justice as a person, let alone as an actor. So I said, nah, I'm going to have to decline. I think it's too violent. He said, well, we really want you to be in this. He said, he says, you know what? There's a role of a priest in the script, but it's the character's written a little older. But if you want to do it, he goes, we can write him younger. And, you could play a priest. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. What better role, to play than a priest?
Sure. We'll get to coming home and just, adapting back into, just life itself. But let's get to, so, you grew up with your mother and father. You're growing up in Yonkers. right? And she lets you know that your parents, they adopted you, and then you move on into just going to school, right, and just living life, playing sports. I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I played I played a little baseball, soccer, a lot of soccer because I grew up in the Italian family.
No bocce ball.
Yeah,
with no fucking shoes on. Some of those Italians play bocce ball in the park with no fucking shoes on.
You ever see that?
No?
No.
You know what bocce is?
No.
You throw the little ball, all right? You throw the little ball, and then that is, everybody's got two balls. No, but it's true.
I know that game.
You got two balls, right? And it's whoever gets the big ball close to the little ball. Now, say if a red ball is the closest, now the guy with the green ball, he can move that red ball out of there by knocking it out of there.
Right.
And
kind of like marbles, but bigger balls.
And it's funny because, you got all these Italian guys, like every one of them has a bocce set in the trunk. And every one of them's got a tape measure, too. Because one's a plumber, one's an electrician, and they got the tape, and they all, these guys are at a family party, they got the tape measure on their thing, and they're out there literally, measuring who's closer and stuff, and, it's big.
It's a serious game.
Very serious. They all get drunk on the wine, and they play.
Now, let me ask you.
No, Joe, green is a closer, Joe.
The first time you even thought about acting or wanting to act, is that the Jones Beach story? Or is it before then?
No, I never wanted to do.
Take us through the Jones Beach story.
Well, prior to that day, I never really wanted to act. I guess I was too young to even realize that was something that I was good at. I was on the beach that day.
You were 16 years old, right?
15. Right about to be 16.
Okay.
It was July 5th, 1992. I turned 16 August 30th, 1992. And I was in the water, and there was this guy, Marco Greco. Mm-hmm. He was handing out flyers because they were looking for a kid to be in the Bronx Tale.
So just handing out flyers to people on the beach?
Right. They wanted,
real Bronx, real kid, authentic.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But why were they in Jones Beach, Long Island?
Well, they were all over the five boroughs. They just happened to be there that day. I heard about the movie, but I was told as a kid, oh, you look like De Niro, and I thought to myself, I said, you know what, yeah, maybe, but it's such a long shot. You're gonna be in a movie with De Niro, that's crazy, So I was in the water, and the guy was handing out the flyers. My brother Vinny said, hold on, I'll get my brother. He'll be perfect for this. And then my brother came, he called me, Lee. He's like, come here. So I run out of the water. I didn't know what happened. He was like, do you remember that movie they were talking about, the De Niro movie? He goes, that's the guy right there. He's handing out flyers. I told him that you look just like him. And then he introduced me to the guy. And the guy said, oh, wow, he does look like De Niro.
Right.
So, wow, he could definitely pass for his son. And he said to me, have you ever acted before? And I said, no. He said, well, it was a Sunday. He said, usually we're not open. It was the Belmont Playhouse in the Bronx. He said, usually we're not open. He said, usually we're not open tonight. He said, but, he said...
for you?
Yeah, I would definitely like for you to read, so why don't you come in tonight? And I said, all right. So he gave me the address. It was down in the actual neighborhood where the movie took place, but we didn't shoot it there.
That's dope.
We shot it in Queens. And,
wait, A Bronx Tale was shot in Queens?
Yeah, we spoke about this on a previous
Just like
episode.
Harlem Nights, they disrespectful.
No, there was some places that were shot in...
Well, City Island was shot in the Bronx. I mean, you can't
fake that.
But Webster Avenue was shot in Brooklyn, in Sheepshead Bay. And the Italian neighborhood was shot in Astoria, Queens.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever any real tension between the black people and the Italians on set?
No. It was only in the movie.
But what about okay, so you were saying he let you read that night, so you go down there?
Yeah, he gave me the scene when
So were you taking it serious? I mean, were you like, I'm going to go down there and read? Or?
No, yeah, I was taking it serious because you know what? The fact that he was taking me serious made me take it serious because before that, I thought it was such a long shot that I didn't take it serious. Like, come on, what's the chances of me being in a movie with De Niro? But when this guy was like all excited, like, you know what I mean? Oh my God, you look just like him. Like, he was like, like you're a possibility.
Right.
Like, this is a possibility you could be in this movie. Like, you look just like him. Like, you.
Even though, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe, sometimes I think we judge, especially at that time too, especially Italian people. Think about this guy. He's handing out flyers on fucking Jones Beach. like this is the fucking plug, you know? Like no, you know what I mean, Lilo? Like
back in the day, yeah, that's different.
No, but back in the day, I'm thinking like this guy's handing out flyers. Like, is he really the one that could get me in so quickly? And he was.
Well, his name was Marco Greco.
Okay.
And his family has a store down there. My family still goes down there, like, you know, for holidays and stuff, because you get the food when you're buying, like, a lot of fish or a lot of meat.
Sure.
You're buying it down there, you get it for a better price. And my parents go down there still to this day and buy food from his family.
Yeah.
And he was just a casting scout at the Belmont Playhouse.
Okay.
He's a great guy. I mean, if it wasn't for him, you know, he found me. But he was always a really good guy, Marco.
So walk us through. So you go into read.
Right, it was the scene when I was shaving in the movie.
Okay,
But
yeah.
in the original script, it was Deniro shaving, and I come up to him as he's shaving. Dad, let me ask you a question. You know, Joey, and in the movie it was Joey also.
Okay.
But in the script, the original script, it was Joey Bama,
Okay.
like Joey Farmer,
Yeah, yeah.
Joey Bama.
Yeah.
He said Joey, you know, and that was the scene. So he gave me the scene. He said, you know, read this scene.
And who was there? It was.
It was nobody. It was me and him, and he had a friggin', you know, a camera on a tripod.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, learn the scene. He said, when you're ready, let me know. I'll be in the other room. He said, we'll read it together. And I never seen anything in like screenplay format. This is the first time. So I just looked at it, and it just looked like something that I knew how to do. You know, interior night bathroom. It described the setting, you know, as Lorenzo was shaving. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Dad, let me, you know. So I just basically knew what to do. I learned the lines, and I told him I'm ready. And he came back in, and we did the scene. And he said that was the best that anyone has ever done that.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, wow, that was great. He was like, that was perfect. He said, do you mind reading some other stuff? He said, we got some, you know. And I said, yeah, no problem. So he was giving me other scenes to read, and I was doing really well. And then, you know, he said, you know, have you ever heard the name Calogero? And I'm like, yeah, of course. My father's Sicilian. The town he's from in the province of Agrigento, there's a little town called Naro, Naro. And, you know, in Italy, every town has a saint. My father's town, Naro, the saint was San Calogero.
Really?
San Calò. My father went to San Calò, the boarding school. That's where he went. After this name I've heard my whole life. So to me, like, a lot of people hear the name Calogero, they never heard it before. This was my father's uncle's name was Uncle Calogero.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Charlie, you know Chaz?
Yeah.
That's what his name is, Calogero. Chaz is a Hollywood way of saying Charles.
Yeah.
Charles is Calogero in American.
Yeah.
So you're impressing him.
Loved it. And then, you know, at the end he says, he said, you know, take my number, you know, give me a call in a couple days and I'll tell you how you did. When he said that, it kind of like left me with a bad taste in my mouth when I left. He said, call me in a couple of days, I'll tell you how you did, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like,
Plus you're young too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, because like I went from a non-believer that day there at the beach to like a believing like I could get this part, then to like saying, call me in a couple of days. It's not,
I thought it was like Hollywood talk.
Yeah, no, he said, call me in a couple of days, I'll tell you how I did. In other words, like, listen, he was like, it was all right. You know,
Yeah,
call me
yeah.
a couple of days.
So
Hopefully you forget my number by then. and then I got to tell you, listen, kid, you suck. You know? So, but believe it or not, they had my number also, and I was working for a law office at the time. Mm-hmm. A very good friend of my family, he's a real estate lawyer. My father's a builder, and he used to do the closings through to my friend Corey Rabin, you know, older gentleman, and he was also, you know, he's also sober since 1982, and he knows what I went through and was very supportive through my journey. Corey's, you know, great guy, and I was working for him. I was working for his law office.
Right.
You know, he's in Yonkers. Around McLean Avenue, Yonkers, I was making $9.50 an hour.
Really?
That's a lot for back then,
What?
right? Yeah.
$9.50 an hour. I was 15 years old.
Oh, yeah, you was taking.
$9.50 an
You
hour. I was doing
taking.
nothing. Beautiful secretaries, because it was a law firm. There was like 4 lawyers, all
Were you
4 of the
saving the
secretaries.
money or were you
all
spending?
4 of them were good looking. Oh, listen, I need a little help. Can you show me? Can you come downstairs with me? We used to have all the file cabinets down there. I installed everything. I was.
Yeah, you were a jack of all trades.
Oh, forget it.
So what? When did they call you back? Like what?
So
Did you call him in a
you gonna
couple of
let me
days?
tell you the story? No, I'm just kidding.
Good.
Wait, Calogero, but were you saving the money, the $9.50 an hour, or were you splurging? What were you doing back then with the money?
I wasn't even allowed to go out, you know, past 10 o'clock.
Right.
I was saving it. I had you remember Fahrenheit, the
cologne. The cologne.
That's why I used to put my money in a little Fahrenheit box.
Okay.
It was all rolled up in there, stuff right in.
Nice.
So his mare shit.
I went to work, because remember I told you it was Sunday?
Yep.
The audition.
Sure.
I went to work the next day, another day at the office.
Yep.
I went to work, came home. I remember I was making English muffins. I was at the phone rings. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock at night. It was like 5 o'clock at night. Phone rings. They said, hi, we're looking for Lillo Brancato. That's my father's name.
Right.
And when I heard that, I thought it was some lady, calling my father. They want like an extension built on their house.
Place an order.
Yeah, so I said, yeah, hold on. You hold on. Let me get my father. She goes, are you Lillo? And I said, yeah. And she goes, oh, no, I think I want to talk to you. I said, yeah, she said, she goes, I'm so-and-so down at Tribeca Productions.
There you go.
And she said, we saw your tape, the tape that you did with the guy Marco. She said it was fantastic. She said you did a great job, and we want to meet you. And, then they gave me the address down on 375 Greenwich Street. And I remember I had a, call back the next day. So
Really?
I had to call Corey, my boss. I said, listen, I can't make it. I had my cousin Pat. I called him. I said, listen, you got to do me a favor. You got to go work for me. Cause he knew, and you know what? Pat became a lawyer.
That's hot.
Pat became a lawyer.
Really? So you head down there.
I went down there with my father and my father's youngest brother, Joe, my Uncle Joey. And I remember when we went down there, it was like, literally 200 kids in there reading for my part.
Wow.
So I was like very intimidated. And these kids were like actors. You know what I mean? These guys, you got these kids walking around with the scripts and they're like, talking to the wall. Hey, Dad, hey. I'm like, oh, shit, these guys got me beat. What am I going to do with these guys? And they're real. And I'm over there just sitting there with my uncle and my father, Mike hiding in the corner. And then eventually they called me in. I did my, did whatever they wanted me to do, and they loved it. And they said, listen, can you come back tomorrow? Absolutely. So then I went back again the next day. And then when I went back the next day, there was a lot less kids.
Right, they did some cuts.
Yeah, a lot less kids, and then I got called back another day, and then eventually it was just me.
But
sorry.
No, but just how did you have the patience to not give up on that? Did you see the light at the end of the tunnel? Because you're young, and it's just taking a long time, and what patience does kids have?
He wanted to get out the hood. He wanted that 950 to elevate to some more coins.
What do you think?
You know what? It was just a blessing. It wasn't that I didn't have the patience. It was just like something that I never expected.
Right.
So I didn't really not have patience. I just took it as it came. But then when I started getting those callbacks and I saw that there was less and less and less and less and less guys, then I said to myself, this is for real, and it's common sense.
Right.
The reason why there's a lot less guys is because they like me.
You're making the cut.
And you started reading more scripts for them and stuff like that, like of the movie?
Oh yeah, they had me working with acting coaches.
Wow.
I remember this one lady, because I guess just because of the whole situation, you get a little nervous,
right.
And just being in that setting. I remember this one acting coach. She wanted me, I looked at her like, what are you, fucking crazy? She wanted me to start screaming and running around the room. This is a grown lady say to me. She said, she just meets me. She goes, how do you feel about screaming really loud and running around the room? And I just met this lady.
You're like, no.
I said, well, I got to be honest. I don't know how I feel about that. And she had me do it.
Yeah.
I'm running around the room like a nut.
So acting.
Yeah, so, I mean,
exercise.
I guess if you're not nervous to do that, everything else is going to be easier.
Right.
I mean, that's like, how many doesn't really give, scream my head off.
Were there any other, actors that you beat out that are, also famous now?
This is a rumor. I don't know if it's true. But Johnny Depp wanted that role of Calogero.
Yeah.
But, I mean, not to say I'm a better actor than Johnny Depp.
You make more sense, though.
I respect him. He's a very, very talented guy. He's one of the best out there right now. But I guess the reason for the choice was maybe because of, like you mentioned, the authenticity.
Yeah, and unknown, who
you know what I mean?
Kid,
and, and also I heard that Halle Berry wanted the role of Jane.
Really?
Yes. I heard that. And, would have probably made a lot more money, the movie.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
You think Terrell Hicks was a problem, a part of the reason why I didn't make as much because she was unknown?
No, well, we were all unknown. Not Terrell. Terrell Hicks was great in that. You know, she was great in that in the movie. Terrell Hicks, she's very talented.
You still talk to her?
No, I seen her on Instagram. I think we said a couple words. I just said, "How you doing?" I don't know. You know, it's a people. You know, they suggest you follow.
Yes, yes.
And I saw her on it. I'm like, oh, that's Terrell. You know, I'm
Did
like,
you follow?
oh yeah. And
Right.
you know, and then I even said, "Hello, how are you? You know, how's your mom?" Because
That's
I
good.
remember her mom used to be on the set all the time. She's a school teacher now.
Really?
She's a school teacher in Jersey. She's doing really well. She's a beautiful family, and she was always very nice. I wish her all the best.
Hey, listen, you and her, it's funny because it's, you know, it's crazy because of even how we connected. You know, you think about like the internet and you think about like where people used to tag you when I used to put pictures up of like you and Taraj, you know, not Taraj, Terrell. When I used to put pictures up of her, people used to be like, you know, that's you're the Bronx Tale. And then finally when we met and you were like, yo, you're the real life Bronx Tale. You know, you would tell me all the time. But you think about something like that. You get called back, right?
Right.
So now it's down to nobody. The lady has you, you know, screaming and stuff like that. Where do you go from there?
Well, one other thing I wanted to say was, you know, like, I met Chaz because he would, you know, you'd see him around the building and he'd come up.
So you finally met somebody, okay.
Right, Chaz came up to me and he said, you know, hi, you know, I wrote the script and, you know, we've been watching everything you've been doing and you're doing really great. Don't change anything. I still hadn't met Deniro yet. And everyone at that point was introduced on a first name basis. And then I remember someone said, we're going to go upstairs and meet Bob. I didn't know that was Bob Deniro.
Yeah.
So I remember he had his back to me. Chaz was right there, and I could see him as I'm looking in the room, but De Niro was right here. I walked in through there. And I remember, I didn't know that was the back of his head. They bring me to the door, and they said, hey, Bob, Lillo's here to see you. I'll never forget when he turned around with that upside-down smile, that frown. And I remember, yeah, that's just like, wow. You know, it was Robert De Niro, you know, and he just came, he walked toward me. He was great. And, you know, I mean.
What did he say to you?
He basically said, you're great. You know, you're doing, you know, we love what you're doing. Just keep doing it. And, you know, and that's coming from Robert De Niro, you know. Robert De Niro telling you you're doing great. And, you know, I was like, wow. You know, now I knew this is like as real as it gets. I would have never got to this point if I, you know, they weren't taking me serious.
Sure.
So then it was like, you know, every day with De Niro, every day, you know, they still hadn't cast the kids who were going to play my friends. So what they do, from my experience, I've seen in other things, they mix and match. They put different combinations together and to see who has the best chemistry. You may be the best actor, but with this crew, he works better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And then, well, let's take him out and maybe we can try him as Slick. Huh? You know what I mean? And it was a lot of mixing and matching, And the girl, too, yeah, I mean, I must have kissed like 30 girls. Because, they were... And...
Did that increase your love for the chocolate?
Oh, absolutely. The girls were older, too, because I'll tell you why in a second. I was only 16. Oh, yeah. And the girls at that point were like 21, 22. And like I said, I'll tell you in a second why. And some of these girls came in and they were so nervous. And you know what? The ones that were nervous, I can remember, like, they weren't really... They were kind of overlooked. But I remember when Terrell Hicks came in the room, she wasn't nervous. And the thing that they liked the most is when she asked me what my name was, and I said Calogero, and she went, who? The way she looked at me and said that. Because that was important, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of the other girls, they didn't nail that. But when she said that, I just felt it. We all felt it. And as soon as she left the room, De Niro said... You know, how did you like her? I said, oh, she was great. She was the best one. And she, you know, obviously ended up getting apart.
Right.
But, so now it got to the point where De Niro said to me, he said, tomorrow we're going to have a screen test. You know, in other words, he said, dress like you're going to go to church. Wear a pair of slacks, shirt. We're going to have a screen test. I don't know what that means. A screen test is when they put you on film.
Right.
Because you may look one way, but then on film you look totally different.
Right.
Film makes you bigger, make your neck look big, and you don't look like.
Nice,
yeah, exactly. So You get some people, you put them on film, they look like Skeletor, you know? So, the kid, there was back and forth with all the different kids, and then the last screen test was Calogero. And guess what? It wasn't me alone. There was another kid there. And they kept him a secret. I never seen him.
Oh, snap.
I never seen him. They had us come at different times. So I never seen him. He was never in the couch waiting. I leave at 4, tell him to come at 4:30. You know what I mean? So, like, when they told me, like, you know, he comes up to me, he goes, hey, man, what's up? How you doing? I'm Phil. He goes, I'm reading for Calogero. What? I don't know about this shit, right? Yo, my heart dropped because I'm saying he got this far because he's good.
Yeah.
He didn't get here for no reason. They like him for a reason, whatever reason it is. He was 21. That's why all the girls were older.
Oh.
Because they thought he was going to be C.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So they had all older girls.
And you was out here killing
A
it.
little kid, yeah. So you know who he was? He was the kid in the Bronx Tale who shot Sonny at the end of the movie.
Oh, snap.
Remember Phil?
Yes.
He's my boy. I love that kid. He could have been like, you know what, fuck Lillo. He ruined my whole life. Because of him, I'm an electrician now. I could have been an actor, you know?
Yeah.
Not saying there's anything wrong with an electrician, but, you know, when I was away, the kid came to see me twice, put money on my books. Great guy. Yeah. But when he told me that, man, in my heart, it was like, oh, my God. So everybody else left. All screen tests throughout the day. Now it's me and him, man. It's me and him. So we did that scene. When Sonny thought I put something on the engine.
Yeah, he came and got
he slapped the shit out of me. Yeah. He did the scene first. So I'm waiting outside the room. I'm over there with my father. You know, I'm 16 years old. I'm all dressed up. I got the slacks on, the shoes. He's in there too. He's got his slacks on and his shoes. They got him in there. I don't see it, but I hear it. They beat the shit out of this kid. Where the fuck you go, my sonny? I hear him screaming. Yo, you hear them.
Oh, no.
All you hear is this. They smacked him like 6 times. I'm like, holy shit.
Really?
Because I'm thinking I got to go in there after him. And then I'm going to get beat up too. I was like, what the, you know? This kid came out of the room. He had handprints all over his face. His shirt is ripped. His hair was all fucked. I said, what the fuck? You know what? You can have the part. Take it. I don't even want this shit. So now I go in there, and I did the scene, and they didn't hit me.
That's how you knew you was C.
Yeah, they didn't hit me. So I remember, like, you know, to make it a point later on, and they say to Deniro, like, Bob, what, you know, they call him Bobby now, you know. I said, Bob, oh, yeah? See how he gets, Steve? Look, 1 second. What? There he is.
Go ahead.
So I said to him, Bob, I remember when we did that screen test. I said, you guys really laid it on Phil. You really guys, you know, I was afraid to come in the room after that. I said, why didn't you guys hit me? He goes, we didn't have to hit you. He said, you did what we wanted you to do without having to hit you. And he said, I knew when you did that we were going to give you the part. But he didn't tell me that then.
Right.
That was a Thursday. And I told you I was going down every single day. So they said, tomorrow you're off, Lillo. I'm off. I've been coming every day. Now I do this. I'm scared. That was the longest weekend of my life.
Yeah.
So I remember they called me on Sunday. And they said, Lillo, Bob wants to see you tomorrow. And I remember I went in there, and I knew this is going to be the day that my heart's going to be broken. It's going to change my life forever in that way, or it's going to change my life the other way.
Sure.
My father takes me down. You know, it's like I was deaf the whole way. I couldn't hear anything. I was just thinking, like, what's this guy going to say? What's he going to say? So I go down there. He's on the 8th floor, but on the elevator, you need the key to go to the 8th floor. He overlooks the balcony. I mean, he's sitting, and he knew my father. Deniro was such a great guy. He used to call my father Mr. Brancato. Oh, call me Lillo. Oh, Mr. Brancato. So I said, Mr. Brancato, how are you? Tells me to come up. I go up. And you know Deniro, he's big with the facial expressions, you know? Yeah. And I remember him and Chaz just sitting there. And so I'm just like, say it. I get this part, you know? And then he says, we watched all the footage of, you know, what we shot. And it was good. And then he said, you got the part. And I was like, whoa, you know? He told me, you got the part. I was like, wow. Like,
did they shake your hand?
Oh, yeah. I was like, wow. I said, oh, my God, you know. And then I went out. I said, can I tell my father? He said, absolutely. So Deniro came out with me. He had his arm around my shoulder. And I'm looking down at my father. I told him I got the part. My father was very excited. You know, he don't
That's
start screaming.
yeah.
You know, he just went like that. You know, congratulations. Then I went in. I said, "Can I use the phone? I want to call my mother." He told me to use the phone in the bathroom. I remember I called my mother. And it was very exciting. It was life-changing moment.
I mean, now, how did you even know, like, did you get yourself, like, a lawyer or, like, how did you even know about, like money-wise? Because I remember you said, how much did they give you for that part?
They didn't give me a lot of money.
Yeah.
They gave me like $25,000.
And you don't get...
But at the same time, it wasn't about the money. Just the
opportunity.
Right. Just for them to have given me that opportunity and to have Robert De Niro's name was on that movie.
Right.
That was his directorial debut.
Yeah, yes.
For him to have put that his reputation and that title and just that opportunity in his own life in the hands of an amateur, someone that's never done it. I mean, it's an honor. It's an honor. I mean, this is probably one of the best, if not the best, to ever do it. And to say, I'm going to put you at the helm of something that my name is going to be on, and it's forever. And, and still to this day, I mean, when I was 16 years old, I don't really think I realized what it was to have been given that. I couldn't comprehend it. But as I got older and realized how much I do love to act and to be in this, business and to want to pursue it, I mean, it doesn't really get better than a part like that. I mean,
sure. And you did so much too. You know what I mean? Meaning like that part, you narrated, you started.
The leading role.
I mean, yeah,
leading role.
like you did more than more than I think they could have ever imagined. And I think not only did you prove to yourself, you must have even proved to them.
Yeah, well, I hope I did.
I mean, look, it's still a timeless movie. But having said that, you're 16 years old. You do the movie. Did your fucking life change? Like, meaning, like,
Absolutely. It changed somewhat while we did the movie, but it didn't really change until the movie came out. When that movie came out, and
Where were you when
I'm
the movie
watching,
came out?
I'm watching, Jeopardy at 7:00, and then to see, in theaters this Friday, and to see myself on
Right.
TV like that. But the first time I ever saw anything like the first time I ever saw myself, it was by surprise. It was summer of 1993. We shot the movie in 92. The movie didn't come out, was not released until October of 93 in theaters nationwide. That summer, I remember it was just a regular weekday. I was at my cousin's house. He's like 4 years older, his friends, and a few of my other cousins. And, we just was sitting in the street hanging out. And we didn't live, where my aunt lived wasn't too far from the movie theater in Yonkers, Cross County. So we said, you guys want to go see a movie? We didn't really have a movie that we wanted to see, but we just, let's go see a movie. We could walk. It's right down the street. So I remember we happened to get there. The movie that was playing was the movie The Firm.
The Firm.
With
Okay.
Tom Cruise.
Yep.
So I was, all right, we bought tickets for The Firm. And, we sitting in the movie theater, And then eventually the lights go low, and then the coming attractions come on. So I think it was the third one, first, second. And then the third coming attraction, I see the big Savoy Pictures logo. And in my own head, I'm thinking Savoy Pictures is who produced the Bronx Tale. I'm like, Savoy Pictures. Like, they don't know. They produced the Bronx Tale. That was them. So. But in my own head, I'm like, oh, yeah, Savoy. And as the logo was on the big screen, I hear a voice. I hear, all these years, what have I been telling you? And then when it cuts to the movie, it was me with the hat on.
That's so dope.
When Sonny said, all these years, what have I been telling you? Then it's me saying, yeah, I know, stay in school, get 2 educations. I know. Whoa. That was unbelievable. Like a feeling that, nothing else.
Surreal.
Yeah, my heart started racing. It was just like, wow.
What did your friends say?
Oh, everybody started screaming.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they just, because, they knew I was in the movie and stuff, but when you see it, then you're like, this is for real, man. This guy's really in a movie.
Sonny, they interviewed him later on, after things happened with you in your life that we'll get to. And he said that he feels like they set you up for almost failure because you became such a superstar at such a young age with that part. Do you feel like that you were destined for, like, success or failure from being so challenged at a young age?
I mean, it's not. I mean, yes, it can go either way. When you're given so much so fast at such a young age, a lot of bad decisions can be made behind that. And, it's a recipe for disaster, as it was in my life. But there's, plenty of others that were given that same, opportunity, and they went on and made better decisions, and obviously, didn't get into trouble like I did, and didn't cost, another human being's life.
Yeah.
So.
In the Bronx Tale, there's so many gems, so many lessons that people have learned. Everything from the $20, he's out of your life. Everything from to be loved or feared, But that one part I remember you spoke about, I've seen that part where I think it was to be loved or feared. Was it that part that you said that was the first time you ever got high?
Yeah.
Now, what were you, just smoking weed or what was it?
Yeah, we're smoking weed. I mean, I drank before, but I never smoked weed. I mean, I smoked one time before that, and I didn't get high. I thought I was high, and then I remember a couple of the guys on the set had some weed, and I thought, they were like, "You want to smoke?" I was like, "Yeah, no, absolutely." I said, because I'm thinking to myself, I smoked the other day. It was no big deal. I could handle it, but I wasn't really high. A lot of times they say you don't get high the first time.
First time, yeah.
Well,
or you get high, but you don't know what high is.
Yes.
Nah, believe me, when I got high that first time, I knew what it was. I was chewing a piece of gum, and almost no saliva.
So that
I was
first
like,
time
now
you
I
got
knew. I was
high,
like, wow, this is it. That wasn't
the
high that first time.
That first time you got high was the part like where you were asking Sonny about being loved or feared.
Thank God I didn't have that's the only line I had in that whole scene. Thank God it was all Chaz with that whole monologue. If you see the way it is around here, I tell people, I say a joke, everybody laughs. I know I'm not that funny. He goes on through the whole thing. The only thing I had to say in that scene was, is it better to be loved or feared? And I was like so high, I couldn't believe it. Like you give me that opportunity now to be in a movie like that. You want me there at 7:00 in the morning, I'll be there at 6:30.
Right.
I'll be waiting for you. You'll never have to wait for me. I'll be sharper than the sharpest knife in the world every day. And now when I do work, the opportunities I am given, I am that way because I realize what a gift it is that has been given to you, and you are to treat it that way. But back then I didn't know better. There's actors, you got guys, their whole life they pursue an acting career, and they don't even come close to getting a part like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And for me to have been given it so easily, maybe that's the reason why I just took it for granted. And and I shouldn't have, but hey, listen, we can't go back and
Yeah, but I think it's important that your lessons, it's like I feel like when people come in your life, they come in for either a lesson or a blessing. And I think that also there's a lesson behind each mistakes that we make in life. Like to be honest with you, you can't be afraid to ever, and you know this, I've been through my ups and downs, and you've been through your ups and downs, but I think the biggest thing about it is to learn from stuff, But let's, let's take it to, you've been in some other movies, obviously,
Right.
So Renaissance Man, that happened right after the Bronx Tale.
Right.
You got that part?
Yeah, I had an agent, and by that point I was going, on auditions, and it just so happened that script, they sent me that script. That was Penny Marshall.
Yeah.
She directed that, and I remember I went to read, and Penny liked me right off the bat. I liked her, and she's from the Bronx, she's Tremont, and her and Deniro were very good friends. She liked me. She wanted to hire me, but she kind of wanted to see what else, what else have you done? And I remember Robert Deniro, he gave her a personal screening of the Bronx Tale so she can see, my acting and stuff like that. And she saw it and she loved it, and I was in the movie.
Now, why the hell did that character wear those black glasses like that? Is that just a part of the costume?
No, that was the last. She liked the way I looked. Did you ever hear Penny Marshall, the way she talks? She was trying everybody with the glasses.
Now what came
She had Mark Wahlberg try the glasses.
Yep.
She had Kadeem Hardis, everybody. And then she said, you know what, Lillo, put the glasses on. And then you look cute with the glasses, Lillo. She goes, you're going to wear the glasses. Yeah. And that was it. I had them things on every day with tied around my...
I remember seeing that movie with the black glasses like that.
Said, you look cute with the glasses.
What came after that?
Then I did Crimson Tide.
Okay.
Denzel.
How was that?
Gene Hackman. Great. That was Tony Scott, guy who directed that. He passed away. Tony Scott.
How was it working with Denzel?
Oh, great. Denzel's from Mount Vernon. I'm from Yonkers. We used to chat every day, all day. And he's great. Denzel's a great guy. I even saw him when they did The Preacher's Wife in Yonkers. Like some people, you see him after a while, they act like they don't know you.
Right.
Denzel Washington saw me, started screaming, Lillo! Came
He
by,
seems like he'll be like that. My man.
Yeah. No, Denzel's a good guy. I haven't seen him in a long time.
It's funny how he says that, because I think a lot of industries are like that. Where you you see people and then you think like, yeah, how you doing, buddy?
You see some people. I don't want to mention names, but I see some guys like they're not even like on the same level as Denzel, and they act like they don't know you. It's like, bro, you don't remember we were like hugging and kissing, we were laughing, we were telling jokes. Now you don't know me,
right?
You fucking half a rat. You got Denzel. The guy is like one of the biggest and the best. And the guy, I was like, please quiet down, Lillo, screaming,
Now, what about you and Robert? Are you guys good? You and Bob?
Oh, yeah. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't spoken to him in 1,000,001 years.
Yeah.
But I respect him very much. He never once said a bad word about me, despite what happened.
Right.
Never once said a bad word about me. And, you got to respect that.
I would love to see you guys reunite.
I would love to reunite with. The guy's a legend.
Not even on like a Bronx Tale, because you know how they like doing all the movies over again. I would love for you guys to do like a fresh canvas, new movie. I think that would be so dope.
Yeah, well, listen. If the guy never gave me an opportunity again, I would be totally understanding of that. He gave me one of a lifetime, and
right.
Now, what about Chaz? I know he is doing the play now,
right?
And
the musical,
play for Bronx Tale. But you haven't spoke to him either.
Haven't spoken to Chaz in quite a while. I haven't spoken to Chaz since probably 2007. More recent than Deniro, but I haven't spoken to Chaz in a while either.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll find some more stuff about. We still got to dig into the Sopranos. We want to hear some stuff about that and just talk about the journey of Lillo Brancato, a.k.a. Calogero.
But my
Internet, grab yourself a drink, grab yourself some mimosa, maybe Malta, maybe you grab
Sydney, have a cream soda, have a popsicle, do something, please.
There you go. We'll be right back.
Did you ever see that movie?
Don't go nowhere.
Internet, we already told you about that live show going down. 1 year anniversary of the Premium P Show live in New York City. It's at the WeWork space.
Ooh, I love
Soho,
them.
In Soho, the New York City location. First of all, Internet, I want to let you know, I'm so excited that we collaborated with WeWork. They have got locations all over the world. And I'll tell you one thing, official tissue. And the spot we have, May 4th, 7 to 11, where I want you to RSVP at ppsrsvp@gmail.com. Again, that's ppsrsvp@gmail.com. Let me tell you something. An official spot's going to be a great night. Past guests in the building, special guests in the building, will be in the building.
And we work. So you make sure you meet us at WeWork in Soho and stop playing.
Yeah.
If you lazy, then you need to stay home.
DJ Ted Smooth on the 1 and 2s. And I will say this, it's going to be sponsored by UN Athletics. And UN's doing so much dope shit out there. And their collabs, they just did a collab with 2 Chainz.
Right. You win, we win.
Yeah, there you go. UNathletics.com. Check them out. Also, CL95 Inc. CL95 Inc., they're the creators of the Link speech, the collaboration that they did with Raekwon. Official. So, check for them at CL95Inc.com. They're one of the sponsors. And listen, I'm looking forward to the night just to see the internet.
Me too.
Past guests, special guests, like I said.
And I'm doing costume changes. So trust the plus. It's going to be a show to see.
There you go. I want you to RSVP. Listen, I don't care where you're from. If you have the time and you got a babysitter or you got the time today, cuz? Well, make sure May 4th you got the time. RSVP. ppsrsvp@gmail.com. See you at the show. CHEA.
Al.
Internet, this episode is sponsored by the College of Hip Hop. We already been telling you about the College of Hip Hop app, and it's official. The interviews they have there with different just industry people, man, just the contracts and just letting you know game. Listen, I always tell people keep an open mind, and I fuck with the College of Hip Hop for fucking with us.
That's
right. And I also fuck with them for creating something for people to check out. Listen, I've been told you, I'm going to tell you again, and people have been hitting me up, and I appreciate people hitting me up and be like, yo, I fuck with this College of Hip Hop app. Because that's what it's about. It's about putting people on. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
That's right.
The College of Hip Hop app is free $99. Go download that shit today.
tell a friend to tell a friend.
The game is to be sold and not told, but not in this case. In this case, you go right to your app store or your Play Store if you playing yourself with an Android, and you get that app right now.
Internets, and we're back, sitting here with Lillo Brancato.
Al Calogero in the place to
Forget
be.
about it. Listen,
just call him C.
As we're talking about, you getting a lot of parts. How did the Sopranos part happen?
The Sopranos. I remember the first season. The first season, no one knew how successful the show was going to be. And at that point in time, HBO just started doing shows. They're like, you know what I mean? It's like Sopranos were pretty much the pioneer, like the reason why a lot of these shows were given life.
Right.
Because of that show was so successful. And I remember they was like, they were talking about this new mob series on HBO. And I read for Christopher, Tony's nephew's best friend. Remember on the first season? His name was Brendan Falone. He was smoking crystal meth. Remember they killed him for robbing Uncle Junior's trucks? And they shot him in the bathtub. They shot him in the eye.
Right.
I read for that part, and they told me, we like you, but you're too young for the role. They said, but we like you. Hopefully we get another season out of this. And they said, we're gonna, we'll call you back if we have something for you. And that was in the summer of '98. I read, and I remember like around Christmas, because the show used to come out every January, and I remember around Christmas time, seeing like coming attractions for the show. And, James Gandolfini was nobody at that time. He was in Crimson Tide. He had a small part. And he was like in a few other movies. And like I remember reading the script, and I remember it was, the role of Tony Soprano. And I'm thinking, who are they going to get for this part, right? And I remember seeing that coming attraction. And I'm like, they got this guy? Out of all the people, this guy? Like who's, you know what I mean? And that guy was like probably, one of the best actors I worked with. Like I couldn't believe how good he was in that role. When I saw that first episode, you remember with him in the pool with the ducks?
Yeah,
Carmela!
Yeah.
And he was calling Carmela out to see the ducks. I was like, this guy's unbelievable. Nobody knew how great, what that guy had inside of him. And I was like, wow, this show's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then it got a second season, and then they had me come in and read for Matthew Bevilacqua, the role that I eventually got. Young stockbroker, like a punk. And, I read for the part. I got a couple callbacks, and they liked me.
How was the craft services?
We always want to know about the craft services.
Well, you see, I was hungry already. Now I'm even more
Right.
hungry.
Hey, listen, you fuck.
Call up Fresh and Company. Get everybody with it.
And how was that? Like, how was the scene? How was, it was early on. It was only the second season.
Yeah, but the show was everything was great on that show. Everything was top. I mean, you know what though? You would think HBO, but you know what? You make more money on like a major network like CBS or because HBO don't have the sponsors.
It's only cable.
They don't have the sponsors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But listen, I would have paid them to been on that show.
What would you say is your favorite role?
What do you mean, working on or later on and watching it?
Just of all that you've done so far.
There was this, you probably never heard of it, but there was this, you remember, it was called Dead Man's Gun. It was on Showtime. It was a series, and each episode revolved around the gun. That gun would be found by new people every week, and that gun brought evil into the lives of these people. And Dead Man's Gun, I did an episode called The Vine. The Vine, like a vine. I was this is back in like the 1800s. I was all fat. I was like over 200 pounds. I remember we shot it in Vancouver, and I play an Italian immigrant. Because, I speak Italian,
right.
And I speak, with the accent in the show. I'd speak Italian because, at home. So I was able to showcase a little bit more as an actor and really show some range with that role. And the reason why I liked it, too, is because all my aunts and all my uncles saw it, and they were, like, very proud to see that. They were like, you know what I mean? I don't know, I think that. even though like it never really went anywhere.
Right, but it was the fact that you got to show something other than what people generally give you.
Right, and
for
just because
roles.
of the way my family perceived it,
Yeah.
they really liked it, you know?
Yeah, and it means, listen, when the family likes it, you know it's a
Oh, yeah. Because they'll tell you,
good thing. As we
they'll tell you they're brutal, right, the family?
they're very honest.
This ain't looking real.
Yeah.
You look like you're full of shit over here.
Let me ask some.
My Uncle Joe's the worst. He's always got something to say. Oh, it's looking like you having trouble to put the gun into your pocket.
Yeah.
It's looking like you don't know what you say over there.
My uncle Richie, he always bothers me. Every time I see him, he'll say, "Hey, what's the matter? You couldn't fucking you got some shit on your face." I was like, "No, what do you mean? It's a fucking hair. It's a beard, you know." "Hey, well, what's the matter with you? You want to grow a fucking beard?" "Yeah, that's why I have the
That's
beard."
right, yeah.
You know, it's like it's just you know how the shit is. But you know, going back to the Bronx Tale, the working man is the tough guy, right? Is it the working man's a sucker?
Yes, yes.
What do you believe? Because they say the working man's a sucker, right? What do you believe? Is this now, you know?
You know, I mean, you can look at that either way.
Yeah.
You know, you got to respect the working man. That was my father. You know, construction worked like an animal's whole life, got up every single day. There was some of the coldest days in the winter. Saturday morning, me and my brother, you know, were home Saturday morning, snuggled up in under those covers, and you hear your father waking up at 6 in the morning. It's better him than me, you know, that sucks. But he still did it every single day, every single day. You could perceive that as being the tough guy. But you know what? He went to work, earned an honest living, came home, and didn't have to worry about, you know, feds coming, kicking down the door.
Sure.
And then you get another guy who, you know, puts his freedom on the line every single day to give his son that 325 BMW for his 16th birthday,
Right.
and to send his daughter to the best school, the school that she wanted to go to. I mean, so, I mean, it's what you think. I'm not saying either one. I think more the tough guy is the guy like my father.
Yeah.
But then if someone thought the other way, you can't disagree.
Yeah.
Because they could say, you know what? Your father came home every day and he didn't have to worry about getting arrested. My father had to come home every day. Somebody's driving down the street, he thought maybe he's getting arrested. Just so we could have this, and this beautiful house.
There's no peace like not having to look over your shoulder.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you always look over your shoulder just to make sure nothing's happening, but not as in the sense of where you got to worry and you know be you know.
You're looking over your shoulder because good guys or bad guys are coming to get you,
Yeah,
you know?
You don't want that. You know, you started doing drugs, you said, at 15, right? Smoking weed.
16 is one, yeah.
Did that progress for all these
absolutely,
years? So
absolutely.
you stayed doing drugs all these years?
Right, from 16 to 29. I mean, you know, from, you know, the liquor and the weed, and then, you know, then I discovered the cocaine, and like, wow, this is the best shit ever. And I remember when I first did it, I said, wow, this is like, you know, this is great. And I said, well, you know what, this would be good, like if I went out to a club, and because that makes me feel so happy, like I could talk to girls, and I'm, you know, I feel so good, and maybe I could. So then I started mixing the clubs with the cocaine. But the thing with the cocaine is, there's a saying in Italian, I'll say it in English, when the devil caresses you, he wants your soul. And that's what happens with the cocaine. The devil caresses you in the beginning, and everything is great. And then it gets to the point where you're doing it all the time, but that good feeling, that euphoric feeling, it gets diluted every single time. And you're still doing more, thinking you're going to achieve what you got that first time, and you never do.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's like a dog chasing his tail. He's never going to get it. He's never going to get it, but he will go crazy trying to catch that tail.
And he'll never stop.
And he'll never stop, and that's what happens.
You know what the problem is, too?
Until he hits a wall and dies, you know?
I relate to you a lot because you're like a neighborhood kid, you know, and you know, a lot of people I know that grew up in the neighborhood, you made money, you're flashy. You know, we weren't in movies, but the point I'm trying to make is you don't believe you're an addict. You know, you sit there and you know, people say, I don't have a problem. I remember, too, when I was getting in trouble when I was young and they wanted me to go to a program instead of jail. And I was like, I'm not an addict. Oh, fuck, I was. I used to fucking be, I couldn't stop doing drugs.
What you was doing?
No, a lot of, you know,
kids wanna
ecstasy,
know. The kids wanna
acid.
know.
I already said it's not the first time. I smoked.
They wanted the new kids.
Smoke some
the new
brisk
kids on the
ones once
block.
in a while. But the point I'm trying to make is, for me, you don't agree because you think
Don't
like,
circumvent the question. We want to know what
no,
you did.
I've spoken about doing drugs when I was young. I'm not saying that.
It's new internets.
I'm just messing with you. You know,
No,
that.
but
you
the
know how I like to break chops, and you do too.
Listen, it's okay.
Yeah, we
It's
don't
okay,
like
you
it.
fuck. But listen, the point I'm making point I'm making is because of the fame, because of the money, you don't think you're just like that crackhead on the corner.
Right.
You think you're bigger than that.
You know what? It was never that. It was never that. I just never thought it was going to escalate because I got all the warnings. Guys literally that are dead right now told me, Lee, you keep messing with that. You keep messing with that. And then,
Do you feel like you were around enablers?
Oh, plenty of enablers. Plenty.
Like a lot of yes
Well,
men?
believe it or not, my mother was the biggest enabler. Not because of anything, because...
His mom too.
Yeah, but you know what it is? Because they don't know. They don't know what it's like. My parents are from the old country. They're from Italy.
Right.
They think marijuana is like the worst thing in the world. My father was in the hospital. He had cancer in his stomach. They took it out. Thank God he's okay.
God bless him.
And he had no appetite. And he's all fucked up. They're giving him morphine and everything. But because it's from the doctor, I tell him that shit is like heroin.
Word.
You're all strung out. That's why you can't sleep at night, because they cut off the morphine. What do you think it is? Oh, Lillo, please, shut up. Right? I told him, I says, listen, you're not hungry? I says, why don't you smoke some weed? I says, it's going to help you with the pain. And I said, it's going to make I don't smoke that shit. He gets all, they go crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what do you, like I'm telling him to stick a needle in his arm. I told Pop, just smoke a joint. There's nothing wrong with it. You guys make wine in the basement. Wine kills people, ruins people's lives. People get in the car with liquor, they kill each other. Guys beat up their wives, beat up their kids. That shit don't happen when you smoke. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that because, listen, weed can definitely serve as a gateway drug. But I'm just saying that,
it does have medicinal purposes.
Yeah, but absolutely. I mean,
don't you worry. I got the
me
card.
personally, I'll never get. I mean, listen. I hope to God, I never get high again. You know what I mean? For every day, I got over 10 years sober, and I think. Thank you, and I think I got a pretty good handle on it. But
Yeah.
you don't know what tomorrow brings. You can wake up tomorrow, you'll be very depressed. There's something that's not sitting right, and you'll be out there drinking liquor and then smoking crack.
Do you still have a sponsor?
You know what? I never really worked the steps.
Okay.
Narcotics Anonymous. You know what? I think the way I feel and the way I perceive it is Narcotics Anonymous sets you up to fail.
Right.
They're basically saying, it's okay if you relapse, just keep coming back. It's like you got guys 20 years and they still got to admit they're an addict. I don't know. It's like, after a while, I mean, I think you've shown that are not an addict anymore.
Right, it doesn't define you.
Yeah, and to say 25, you got guys, I got 30 years, how you doing? My name's Joe, I'm an addict. Bro, when was the last time you got high? 81? You know what I mean? And I just and then, I don't know.
They label you.
Hey,
but there are people that it works for.
Hey,
Right.
the coffee there is fucking amazing.
Oh, they make coffee. It's like seriously, like crystal meth. You got this coffee, your knees are knocking the whole meeting. Really strongest fucking coffee in the world. And people brag too. They let you know, I made the coffee. I made the coffee. The fuck out of here. I tried the coffee.
Hey, listen.
Last time I drank the coffee, I was up for 2 days
To each
doing
their own.
crossword puzzles.
Listen, every addict and every person who is involved in taking drugs and fighting the demons of the addiction have some very lows, and unfortunately you have gone through so many lows. What were some lows before you even got to that night that you said to yourself, I got to fucking change? Because there had to be some lows that I got before you even got...
after many years of doing the cocaine the way I did it, I started experiencing what you call the cocaine psychosis. Cocaine, all right? Cocaine psychosis is when you're experiencing the paranoia. You start thinking like people are in the wall. Like your friends want to kill you. And it was during the 2000 World Series when the Mets played the Yankees. No, I'm good. I got one in it. Thank you. 2000 World Series, I remember I was in the car. We went to my friend's mother's 50th birthday that day. I remember all I had was the salad. Because by the time the food came, we were already drinking. I remember we were already drinking. My other friend, he had the blow. So we started doing it early. I was drinking scotch. I must have drank like over a bottle of scotch.
Yeah.
I was only like in my early 20s. So we started sniffing cocaine and got to the point where it's the nighttime. We must sniff 2-3 grams each. And I remember I got so paranoid that night. I'm in the car, my friend Richie, Anthony, Gary. And I got so paranoid and that cocaine started twisting my mind, started really playing tricks. My mind tried playing tricks on me. I thought to myself, I said, you know what? I said, these guys are going to kill me. and I got really afraid in the car. And that was all because of the cocaine. I literally opened the door. The car was doing 60 miles an hour, and I jumped out the window. Still have a scar on the back of my head. Fucking road burn.
Damn.
Ripped up my whole fucking back, everything. If I wasn't drunk, I would have been stiff. As soon as I went out, I broke my neck. But because I was so drunk, I felt, and I went with it.
Remember, like, yeah.
Yeah, I went with it, and I was able to. So then, because of that, they went to the hospital. I had staph infection, and then the doctor gave me pain medication. That's where this is where then this whole chapter began.
Right.
With the pain pills, you know what I mean? And I remember I would take one, it was okay, but then after a week, they wouldn't work. And then instead of that, me, what excessive I am, my addictive behavior, instead of taking 2, I went right to 3. And I'm like, wow, these fucking things are great. I felt great. I remember I was sitting in my room. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't have to do anything. I felt great. Just sitting in my bed. I had my little Dixie cup. That would be my little ashtray. I'd smoke like 3 packs of cigarettes and just sit there and itch and nod out on the pills. I'm like, wow, this is heaven. This is great. So then I went to look throughout the house. Because, those pills are so common. The hydrocodones, the generic Vicodins. My mother's got, 2 bottles in her drawer, and then we got the pill. They're like not even used.
Right.
So I'm like, these people don't even know how valuable this shit is. Do you even know what this is? Before, I got like 30 bottles in my room. They're all empty up there. I'm like, wow, this shit is great. And then that started. And then I'm looking for them on the street. And then cocaine on the weekends. And then flash forward 2005. The pills became a lot harder to find. They were becoming more government regulated and, with the triplicate prescriptions, and they were cracking down a lot more. So it was really hard it was like a chore every single day. Lee, I don't get them no more. I'm driving out to Long Island for, pills.
Right.
It's like insane. So then this one kid brought to my attention that, heroin is just like the pills.
Oh, shoot.
It's an opiate, Why don't you just do like me? I got this guy, and then this kid would start getting it for me on his way home from work. And this kid was like a suit and tie kid, this kid Mike I know, educated, he'd get 3 or 4 bags. And
that would be like sniff the heroin?
Yeah, we'd snort it. It had the little in the glassine envelopes, and it'd have the stamp, the different names. You know what I mean? Like Tommy.
Blue Magic.
Yeah, Blue. Yeah, well, that was the movie. Blue Magic, the original script, because I read for a part in that. I read for a part of Abruzzo, one of the cops, but I was too young.
Gangster.
Yes. The original script, it wasn't supposed to be Russell Crowe. It was supposed to be Benicio del Toro as Richie Roberts. And the director was Ridley Scott, Tony's brother. But you know who was supposed to direct it? Antoine Fuqua. He directed Training Day.
Okay.
It would have been a whole different... Denzel was always going to be Frank Lucas.
Yeah, of course.
But the original script was called True Blue, not Blue Magic. That was the name of the dope, True Blue.
So, yeah, so
we started snorting it, And to be honest with you, it was cheaper in the beginning. Because I was taking 15, 20 pills at a time. And them things were costing $2, $3 each. So that's $60 a day. And I had money back then, but it's still $60 a friggin' day. It just got to a point where, you need this. You need it just to function, just so you don't get sick and your body starts aching, you get diarrhea and you feel like crawling out of your own body. So it's going to cost you the minimum $60 a day to feel normal.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, look what I got myself into.
But you were getting them for like cost, because I'm sure they were a little more expensive
Well,
on the street.
later on I was.
Yeah.
Not in the beginning. Then I
Okay.
realized, then I said to myself, maybe if I start moving a couple, maybe I get them for, then I was doing them for free, but like that really helped,
Yeah.
And then, I dabbled in smoking crack here and there. And my friend Jimmy, rest in peace, he was older than me. He was like 10 years older. We used to call him Aruba. Aruba was his nickname. And he was a full-blown crackhead. And, I mean, when this guy go on a mission, he'd be in his mother's basement for a month, like a week and a half. And he used to have the guys come down the side of the house, the side of the steps, and he used to open up the side window. And they used to give him like in the stairs downstairs. They used to give him the crack through the window, and he used to pay the money. That was, I used to call his house. His mother, they were Arabic, It was not fun, but I used to say, how you doing, Miss Nasser? Jimmy's in the basement. She used to say, Jimmy's in the basement. You know what that means, right? So then I just used to go to the house, I used to bang on the fucking, what's up? What's up? Used to come to the door, sweating. He'd be up for like 5 days. What's up?
But do you know when you were doing these type of drugs, were you trying to escape anything? Like, you know,
No,
but it just was fun? Because keep in mind.
It wasn't fun anymore.
But smoking crack at that time, it wasn't the most normal thing to do.
No,
and
but the cocaine
the
cocaine is, crack is a form of cocaine in a harder, faster, cheaper way.
Exactly.
Takes you right to the moon, but then you come down really hard.
But how many times did you feel like, I remember doing drugs when I was young, whether it be, I remember E or acid or mushrooms or even sometimes, messing with the brisk ones back in the day, But the thing is, there's days I woke up or I realized, like, damn, it's like I felt like fucking shit. Or I felt like, you see yourself. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say is your group of friends, you look at me, not everybody's smoking crack.
No.
People look at you, got to hide that type of shit,
Yeah, it's
not like you're hanging out with girls and like, you want to smoke some crack?
No, even the cocaine, because I did it with all my friends. Like, we were all younger, and when we first all started experimenting, you know what I mean? But then you get like normal people, like, like they met a girl and they're looking to settle down, and like, they're gonna get engaged, and like you're sniffing blow on your great, your friggin' junior high school yearbook on a Tuesday night watching Dave Letterman for absolutely no reason.
Sure.
And then you're like, you know what? I got a problem.
Right.
This, that wasn't the weekend anymore. Now it's just like during the week, maybe I get a package. So I was doing the heroin, and I remember it was June of 2005, and my friend Aruba, rest in peace, he told me, you keep messing with that pipe, it's going to get you one day, Lee, just like it got me. And I remember the exact day. I was going to go down to the gas station to get cigarettes, but there was a store on the way. So I said, you know what, let me just get it here. There was these two kids from a neighborhood not too far from my neighborhood, Lake Avenue. And these two kids were in the car. And I remember they were talking really loud so I could hear. And the one kid said, yeah, no, Lillo's a good guy. He never forget where he came from. So I barely knew these kids. Like, I seen them around. So I looked down. I'm like, yo, thanks, bro. I appreciate it, right? So they knew. I mean, it wasn't a secret that I partied and that, I got high.
Right.
So I remember the kid was like, yo, bro, come here, right? So they're sitting in the car, right? And I remember the kid, there were like two demons in the car. It was like, like early summer day. It was hot out, and these guys are smoking crack, you know what I mean? And I remember they're in there, and they got that devilish look, and they're looking at me, yo, what's up, Lillo? I'm like, what's up, man? How's it going? And then I remember he had the pipe under his pants, and he pulled it out, and he goes like that, and he looked at me, he goes, you interested? And these kids ain't stupid because they know I have money, so they said, let's turn him on. He'll get high, and then he'll be treating us, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's not, So he goes, you interested? And I'm like, I'm looking at the pipe and I'm looking at the store. I was here to get cigarettes back at the pipe. And then I said, yeah. And he had you got to push the front seat, the front seat forward for me to get in the back.
Yeah,
It was a Thunderbird, right?
Yeah.
So this was back in 2005. So and I remember he lets me in the back seat, and he says, and I remember he's putting a hit in the pipe, and he says, as he's doing, I said, no, don't worry about it. I said, I'll just take a resin hit. He's like, no. He tells me, he says, if you're gonna do it the right way. So I remember he put like a 20 piece of crack in there. So I remember we drove around the block, and I remember I was smoking. And I mean, it changes you, and just like, in a heartbeat, you're a different person. And then by the time we got out there, I went and got my cigarettes, and then and I said, you guys want to hang out? And, their plan worked, because I said, just take me to my house. I said, follow me, I'll take my car. I said, I want to get some money. I said, can you guys get more? And he said, yeah, absolutely. So I remember I went to go get like a few hundred at my house, and we went out, and that was it. And that day, that was the day that my friend Jimmy said, you keep messing with that pipe, it's going to get you. It got me that day. That day, like I was able to do it before, and then, go work out all week, and, whenever it was around, it was around. But after that day, I was looking for it every single day, smoking crack, sniffing.
But how the fuck were you like doing like any jobs, like acting? Like, were you still able to maintain? Were you able? It was like a switch you could turn on?
No, at that point, from that point, June. I worked a little bit here and there, but nothing significant at that point, because I didn't really give a shit. Like, I didn't really want to work. I just wanted to get high. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So your demons were catching up.
Yeah,
to you.
yeah, that was it. That was the point of no return. And now I'm like getting in trouble with the law.
What
I got
year
pulled
was
over.
this?
2005, I get in trouble with the law. I got pulled over. I got 4 bags of heroin in the car. Now I got to go to a drug program and this and that. I'm not doing good because they keep finding me dirty. And then I had this girlfriend, and got to the point she didn't want to be with me anymore. She was going to medical school, so she like threw me out. I was living with her. She threw me out, and then and then I became friends with her father as an excuse to go by the house. Father was, she would always tell me, Lillo, why are you hanging out with my father? He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. So we went, then, we were hanging out. Never after hours. We would just go get drugs together, hang out. He calls me one night. It's like 1 a.m. I was about to go to sleep. He said, Lillo, you want to go get a drink? I said, absolutely. I go pick him up. And I didn't come home for 8 years after that night.
Walk us through, that night.
Well, I'll give you the abbreviated version. I don't want to go because I got a civil case pending, so I don't want to say something. You know what I mean? But basically, we went to burglarize a house. Well, I wasn't really burglarizing, but what it looks like, I was. Remember what I explained to you before? The only thing separating me from that fix is that window. I knew the guy, and I wasn't burglarizing because I knew that I could be in there. Even if I broke the window or climbed through it, I knew once he saw me, he would be cool with it. That's the way, when you're on drugs, you think.
Right.
So what happened was New York City police officer, he lived next door. He came out. He said, don't move. I moved. I turned around. He shot me twice. And then I was like holding on to my stomach, and then, I had blood squirting out of myself. I'm almost running away because I didn't have a gun. And then the guy I was with, who I didn't know had a gun, they started shooting at each other, the cop and the guy. And, the guy I was with, he got shot 9 times. He fired his gun twice. I guess, I don't know, I didn't see it happen, but they found a bullet in the behind him, which tells me as he was getting shot, boom, he probably let off a shot, and it went that way because they found it that way.
Right.
But he was able to get one shot off. He shot him in the heart. And he killed him. And then because, there was what they thought was a burglary in progress, that's called felony murder. In the commission, if you attempt to commit, you commit in furtherance or an immediate flight therefrom a felony. It results in the death of a non-participant. That's felony murder. Right. That's like saying if you rob an old lady's purse and you scare her so much she has a heart attack. You didn't want to kill her. All you wanted to do was grab the $50 out of her purse. But because you scared her while you were robbing her, that's felony murder.
Right.
You don't commit that felony. So now, I'm being charged with murder in the 2nd degree. I'm like, what? And then we found out it was a cop. We didn't even know it was a cop. He was off duty.
Right.
How did you find out that it was a cop?
These doctors in the emergency room, because I had to get surgery. I lost my spleen, part of my colon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was in bad shape. And I remember, not that day, not the first day, the day later, because I was out of it. Because I went emergency surgery, I had a collapsed lung. I was on life support. And I remember, all this going on. But someone died. Someone lost their life. And I remember one of the doctors, he came, and I remember he showed me the cover of the paper, and he was like, are you proud of yourself? He goes, look, you and your friend killed a cop. I'm like, whoa, my worst nightmare was realized. Like I said, because of these drugs, maybe one day somebody, you know what I mean? And or I would be knocked out and I'd wake up in a jail cell. I was in a hospital, but it's basically the same thing because I was handcuffed to the bed. And now I'm being charged with murder. Once we got better, they brought us to Bellevue Hospital. And then Bellevue, they brought us to, Rikers Island. I remember being in that ESU van, December 19th, 2005. It was cold out. We had the orange jumpers on. It was about 130 pounds. My co-defendant was sitting across from me. And I remember looking back, and I seen Ditmars Boulevard. And I'd never even been to Rikers Island. I only heard about it on the news and friggin', documentaries. And I'm like, damn, I hope I don't ever end up at that place. And I remember, I didn't even know, and the guy's name was Steve. I was like, where the hell are we? He goes, we're at Rikers Island. He told me we're at Rikers. I'm like, oh, my heart sank. I'm like, oh, we got to go through this shit now. And it was 3 years I spent there. 3 years, my first year there, I was getting high. I overdosed in my cell.
You were getting high in jail?
Yeah, I was getting high. I was getting morphine at church. I had another guy.
Were you, giving money to the COs?
No, well, I had, I had these kids, one kid I used to go to church. He was in a wheelchair, and he used to get morphine. They used to give it to him, but he didn't take it. So he would save it, and I'd see him every Saturday. He'd give me 20 morphines, and my mother would send him a money order. I would tell her it was for cigarettes. And then there was another kid on the cell block next to me. I used to call him through the pipes because his cell was right behind mine. I used to call him, yo, through the pipe chase. He used to meet me on a thing. He used to put it in the ramen noodles. And the way he used to seal up the bag, it was like came right from the factory. And I remember he used to put 4 bags of dope in there.
Damn.
And you almost
It was from
overdosed.
Brooklyn. Oh, I did overdose.
You did?
Yeah, November 12th, 2006.
But do you know why? Why did you overdose?
Because I'm a glutton. Because I took 25 morphine pills. And then the other kid said, yo, by the way, I got some soup. You want some soup? So now I got 4 bags of dope. I already took 25 morphine pills. I could have hid the dope and sniffed it the next day. But I said, you know what? Maybe I should just do it. You know, maybe I'll get more high. Maybe it'll feel better in case they find it. I don't want to sleep. And then they wake us up in the middle of the night with a search. If they find it, you know what I mean?
You think too much, you know.
And that's why. And then I end up sniffing 4 bags of that. And I go in the corner in the TV room. I roll myself up a cigarette. And I remember everybody's all over the place. There was just one guy in the TV room, this guy Bobby, and I told him, watch out for me. So he's looking down the cell block. I'm in the corner where the camera can't see me, where the toilet bowl is in the TV room. So they can't have the camera while a guy's taking a crap, you know? So the camera's that way. So I'm underneath. And I remember when I'm smoking a cigarette, I remember something, I just, like, I felt like I was choking, like it felt like a vacuum, and like my throat was pulling my tongue, like I was choking on my tongue, and I couldn't control it. I said, holy shit, I never felt anything like that. It felt like I wanted to swallow my tongue. And I said, holy shit, this is not good. So I put the cigarette out. I told the guy, Bobby, I said, I'm going to go in my cell. I'm going to go relax a little bit. I said, come check on me in a few minutes, make sure I'm all right. And another kid saw me, this other guy, Martin. He's walking down. He said he saw me choking. And he said he saw my hands on my throat, and he heard me like choking and fighting for my life. He said my eyes. So when he came in the thing, he said all you seen was white. My eyes were behind my head. Bottom line is I overdosed. A couple days later, they gave me the drug test. I came up positive for morphine, for opiates. They sent me to the box, 80 days. And while I was there, I just decided, you know what, I never want to get high again. And I never did. November 18, 2006 was the last time I ever got high in my life.
Well, I mean, that was your rock bottom. Congratulations for that. But listen.
Were you targeted in jail?
No. As far as what?
Like, you're a celebrity, like people thinking that you have money or trying to start things with you to see if you are a gangster?
Well, as crazy as it is, because of what I was there for, a lot of people respected that, even though I can say I made a contribution, and, I take responsibility for what my participation was and how my drug addiction and my bad choices contributed to the death of the police officer. But because of that,
what was his name?
The police officer, his name was Daniel N. Chautegi.
Yeah, we definitely,
send our prayers out
to him and his family.
Absolutely.
And, I know that, there's nothing that you could really say that, could, bring a life back,
No.
But I definitely...
Yeah, there's not one day that goes by that I don't think about that night, how I could change it. But, you can't do that in life. So you just hope to make better decisions in the future and to, have his purpose in life is to be my angel and to look over me. And for him sacrificing his life, it caused me to do a lot of good and to help others, which I do. I go to schools, colleges, addiction centers.
I see you.
Did you try to make peace with the family?
Well, I can't really do that right now.
But you guys are still having like your own...
Well, I have a civil case pending.
Right.
I can't really do that because as one of my parole stipulations, I can't have any contact with the family. Like I posted his picture, in 2005, December. It was a 10-year anniversary of, his death. And I posted a picture of him and, how he said how he was a hero cop and how he lost his life. And, there was, on Instagram, there's a lot of nice comments. Yeah. And Lillo, it takes a big man.
I feel like you wholeheartedly have, like, remorse. Like,
absolutely, I do. When people say I don't, it's like, I'm not some sociopath.
Yeah.
I'm a kid from a good family. I, made some bad choices in life. And, I don't think those bad choices should define me.
Right.
Because I've changed. I'm a different person. If I came home from prison and, I was still out there and you hear about me in the news, drunken driving or gets into a fight.
Partying.
Right. Then you say you should have left him where he was.
Now,
but I'm doing the exact opposite.
What'd you say you said on Instagram? There was a lot of nice comments. And
there was a lot of nice comments. And then one girl said, how come you never She said, how come you never apologize to the family or this or that, right? And I said, like I'm saying, you always get these nosy people. They want to stick their business into shit that have nothing to concern with them. They know nothing, and they just want to start trouble, So I said to the girl, I said, how do you know that I didn't apologize to the family? So then she made me feel, she said, well, because I was there with my mother when the police came to the door and told her that her brother was dead because of you and your friend. And then I realized, it's the niece. Because I remember seeing them at trial.
Right.
And then I changed my tone. I'm not going to talk, listen, she lost her uncle. And, I says, well, I apologize. I said, I can't imagine what you guys are going through and what you've went through. I said, but the reason why I never did is because I'm on parole. And one of my first stipulations is that I am not to have any contact with any of you.
Right.
And I respect that. And I respect parole. Because, parole keeps me in line. Not that I need it, but you know what? It's helped me re-enter society the right way. And, all the people down at parole, they know what I did for a living, and they've never held me back from doing anything I needed to do, business-wise. And, they're good people down there, and I do respect it. I'm not just saying that because they treat me better when I get down there.
You started working again, and, I know that there was some boycotting going on, but Mike Tyson... Did you have a relation with him, or why did he? I know he supported you in some sense. Tell us about that.
Well, we were in a film together called Back in the Day. Mm-hmm. My good friends William DeMeo, Paul Borghese. Mm-hmm. He happened to be in the film. I didn't have any scenes with him, nor did I ever meet him. But I guess the fact that I was in the film, which he knew about, and he knew of the boycotting, because I was, I made the front cover of the New York Post for being in that film. And once, the Police Benevolent Association and, once they got wind of it, they wanted to, boycott the film. And I guess Mike Tyson, the fact that he was able to empathize, for the fact that he was incarcerated himself, did lend his support, which I was very thankful for. But, at the same time, you can't blame the police for doing what they did.
Sure.
I mean, listen, they're a brotherhood.
Sure.
And they, you got to respect them. They're very strong.
Right.
And no matter, cop was wrong or not, they still support each other.
Of course.
And, I wish, just as people, we were more supportive of one another the way the police are.
Yeah.
And we can learn a lot from them, because I've seen firsthand how powerful and how closely they stick together.
The police and the Puerto Ricans. Like the same.
Yeah. Now,
no, but
now.
Somebody, I read somewhere that you have 5 projects.
I tell you what, Italians don't stick together.
Black people either.
Italians
they be hating on each
together.
other.
You're right about that. You're right about that. Yeah. What would you want to ask?
So I just wanted to know, because by Hollywood standards, someone with your troubled past and certain things that happen would have a career that it would be over. But you do have projects still coming out and you're still working. What do you say is the reason, or what still keeps you afloat?
I mean, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I think Bronx Tale was such a great film, and it's such a timeless classic. And they've been showing it a lot on TV the last month or so. I guess because of the musical.
Right.
I guess because of the musical, it's been given a lot of airtime again. And you get a lot of people that have never seen the movie, kids that are 16, 17 years old, and they watch this movie, and when they see me and they're like, wow, I just seen that movie. It's my favorite movie ever. It's so timeless. You can show that movie 20 years from now and people still be like, wow, I love that movie.
One of the greats.
And I think because that movie has made the mark that it's made in the history of film is immeasurable. And I think for that fact, listen, will I ever make a film like The Bronx Tale? Hey, listen, I hope I do. But if I never did, I could always say I made The Bronx Tale.
Sure.
And that never goes away. And I think for that film, I think I'll always be able to get some work. And listen, I think at this point in time, whatever I do get, I'm very thankful for, and it's a great opportunity. But, there's always a flip side to everything. And, some people may say, listen, he was responsible for this, that, and this. And, for that reason, maybe I don't want to be associated and stuff like that. And listen, this is the nature of the beast. You got to understand it. You can't get mad or take it personal, because it's myself and my bad decisions that put me in that situation. So I can't blame anybody else and say, you fuck, you don't want to put me in your movie? No, it's because of the bad decisions I made.
Well, realizing that, I think, is a big part of it. But, and I'm sure, one of the parts that obviously everyone says this, one of the parts that is in Bronx Tale is called the saddest thing in life is wasted talent.
Right.
Now, you still have a lot of life to live, but it's like funny how that movie tries to depict what you've been through.
Art imitating life, and
Exactly.
life imitating art.
What was that exact line for people who may just never even seen the movie that are listening? It says,
Well, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And it came from the choices we make will shape our lives forever. That's exactly the truth. It's exactly the truth. Yes, I 100% agree with the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Great words and very important. But I can relate more to the other words. The choices we make will shape our lives forever. That's something else that I've seen firsthand. It's because of the choices and that one choice that I made to go out that night with that person and to do what I did. It may define me forever. I mean, there's people that, may not define you for that, but there are, that's what I try to tell these kids, like, you have no idea how precious being young is because you still have all of this life to live. But be careful because these choices that you make now, right now you're at the crossroads. You make this choice, you're going to go this way. If you make this choice, you're going to go this way. And once you go down this way, there's no coming back. So you have to be really, really careful and be very, very selective. And the choices that you make, just like I said, it's going to shape your life forever. One bad choice can ruin your life forever. I remember there was a saying, it takes a second to get into trouble and a lifetime to get out of it.
That's a good saying.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, actually, I know, your response to this may be just your open heartfelt, but do you love yourself?
Yeah, I do.
No, the reason why I say that now I'm glad to hear you say that, but when just time and time again, overdosing and the drugs and stuff like that, I think when someone comes to a point, their demons are taking over them, being addicted. I lost my brother-in-law to drugs, he overdosed. But I'm just saying, I think there was a point in time where he didn't love himself. And I think he wanted to die, even though he had a family.
Do you want to have a family? Do you have children?
No, absolutely. The reason why I could say I honestly love myself is because, being away, for the situation that I mentioned before, I went to Rikers Island for 3 years. I fought the case. I was acquitted of murder in the second, acquitted of burglary charges, but I was found guilty of an attempted burglary in the first degree with serious physical injury to a non-participant. And as a result of the conviction, I was sentenced to 10 years. I already did 3 in Rikers, so I had to go upstate and do 5.5 because you do 85% for a violent crime. When I was up there, I remained sober. I got sober. And also, I enrolled in a male correspondence school, a school in Georgia. And, I studied and I got a business degree. I got 60 credits in business management. So I learned so much while I was up there. It was the perfect...
You got your GED, right?
Well, the GED first, but then I actually got an associate's degree.
Nice.
I figured, why not? Makes sense. I'm here. You got these kids, I'll just do it when I get home. I'm like, bro, if you're not doing it here,
you're not doing it when you get home. Yeah.
Definitely. Right here is where you got to do it. You're sitting in your cell, you got 3, you know what I mean? Got all that downtime. Why not do that? It makes so much sense. And
who held you down while you were in jail?
Oh, I had my,
Your wifey?
No, I met my girlfriend later on. I met her on Instagram.
Oh, snap.
Toward the last year.
Slid in her DMs?
Well, the Bronx Tale was on TV, believe it or not. I didn't even have it. My friend had the page for me outside. I didn't even know what Instagram was, but he was locked up with me. And then I stayed in contact with him, which I wasn't really allowed to do. But, oh well, he ain't going to put me back in jail for that.
No.
So he told me, he said, there's this new thing called Instagram. I knew about Facebook and Twitter, but he said, there's this new thing called Instagram. He said, it's pretty cool. He said, you post pictures and, this and that. And he's got a lot of girls on there. And he said, it'll be good for you while you're in there. Keep you busy. You know what I mean? He goes, I'll give you all your messages. And it was great because I was meeting new girls all the time. I was getting visits every weekend,
It was back page.
Yeah, it was great.
Jail page.
So they're coming in and then the Bronx Tale was on TV. And she left something. She tagged me in a picture from the movie and said, I love this movie. I love this guy. Cinema classic. So my friend Stevie said, oh, you got to see this girl, bro. She's nice. And then what happened was he got her number for me. We started talking. And a few months later, she came to see me. And that's it. She's my girl.
The rest has been history.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, you're still doing some work now, right? You know, you're doing different films and stuff like that. I'm glad you finally shaved your fucking head, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm when you came home and you had all these interviews, in the comments, they're like, well, he needs to get rid of it. It looks like a toupee on his fucking head, you know?
Yeah.
But listen, the day we hung out, the next day you fucking shaved your fucking head. So I'm proud of that, you know. But listen, one thing about your journey is not over, and that's the reason why I asked you if you love yourself, because you kind of like almost.
Well, the fact that I'm staying sober, I work out 7 days a week,
and you live a healthy life. That's
right? I mean,
Are you
I
gonna
think
have children?
I hope to.
What do you
Are
want
you
one
working
now?
on it?
Well, right now I want to get. I mean, I'm doing better financially, but I want to. I mean, I don't want to bring a kid into a world and have them struggle. So I want to be able to be in a situation where I can
Right.
give them pretty much. I mean, listen, you know, within reason, what they want.
Sure.
And you know, I plan after parole to move out to California. So you know,
Second life.
yeah.
Do you think maybe you'll start producing movies?
Well, I hope to God. I hope to God I do. I would like, you know, I love film. I love everything about it. And I think I would, you know, I get a rush out of doing that.
Yeah.
And just, you know, bringing something from the ground up and getting a script and producing and, you know, everything around it and casting actors and, you know, finding locations. I like that kind of stuff. I really do.
Didn't you used to run into Tupac back in the day?
I ran into a couple times. Yeah, a couple times. I seen him one time at the House of Blues. And then I seen him, the last time I seen him was at this the Beverly Center in the Valet Park in this club Tempest. And I remember I seen him, he had the leather pants on, he had the Rolls Royce. And I remember I said, you know, how you doing? We started talking for a minute. And I said, nice to see you. He gave me a hug, said, nice to see you. And
That was
it.
that was the going out days,
yeah,
you know. But listen, hey, you know, I mean, like I said, there's definitely more to live, and you know, we wish the best to you, you know, moving forward. And, you know, continue to stay sober.
Thank you.
Continue to stay healthy. I know you live a healthy life. Something that I'm trying to do, but I can only do it like the morning, and then by the afternoon I'm fucking back to eating something crazy.
You just need to drink more water.
Well, yeah, that too. But you know, life is, you know, I think whatever you're going to make it. You know, if you're going to stay sober, you're going to stay, you know,
right.
focused.
I control my own destiny right now. That's it. You know, if I stay sober, I'm going to live, whether it's in film or not.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm an actor, or if I decide not to be an actor, that doesn't mean I'm better or worse. I mean, it's something I did at one point in my life. Do I want to continue to do it? Absolutely. And, you know, if those blessings continue to be bestowed on me, then, you know, so be it. But if not, you know, and, you know, God has another path for me or another calling for me, and maybe to help, you know, I'm okay. I'm fine with that, because that may be even a better path, you know?
I mean, looking back, do you have any memories that really just, you know, kept you going through those hard times that you reflected on? Things that made you happy? I mean, like, what did you fight for? You know?
While I was...
While you were away and...
Well, I had my family. I had my family, my friends. My mother and father adopted me when I was a little kid. They gave me a better life, and then I put them through all this. And then I said, if I don't owe it to myself, I at least owe it to them.
To show them that...
Right.
Yeah.
That it was at least worth coming to get me down there, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Listen, Lillo, thank you for finally
And
making
thank
it
you.
fucking happen.
And
This
thank
was
you. You
really
know,
great.
I know, you know, I kidded around a lot in the last 113 minutes and 26 seconds. But I do want to say thank you for the opportunity to you all. Appreciate it. And, you know, my kidding around is just, you know, an expression of me,
It's therapeutic.
you know, just, you know, at a much better time and a much better place in my life where I've reached a moment of clarity. I don't ever want anyone to ever, you know, misconstrue that as me being arrogant or anything like that, because that's the furthest thing, you know, from you know, the furthest thing from the truth of what I really am. I'm very, like I said, I'm very thankful. You know, things could have ended up a lot worse for me.
Right.
And, you know, I could have been away for the rest of my life, or, you know, even worse, I could have been dead. And just, that we shouldn't ever take life for granted, because every breath, forget about every day, every single breath is a gift, and you are to treat it that way. And I think if you treat it that way, you will live a much better quality of life. And we all have to be mindful, of each other and respect one another and love each other regardless of, whatever, in whatever way we're different. We're still all people. We're still all people of God, and we all got to love each other. And, and thank you. And thank you for this opportunity.
No, of course. Listen, I'm rooting for you.
That was the ultimate gem.
No, of course. I'm rooting for you, and,
We both are. I think you're great.
Just stay focused, and don't worry about no drugs. Find a vice. You eat.
Well, that's why I work out 7 days a week. That endorphin high, I can't.
Smart guy.
Well, there you go.
I worked out today. I'm a little hungry now, Pete.
Hello,
All right,
I'm trying to tell him.
Well, she's always hungry. She always wants something.
You got to eat 4 to 5 times. What is it?
She always wants something.
We're going to get Pete to get out that checkbook.
But listen, internets.
Just kidding.
Internets, let me tell you something. We got your submissions, and I love that everybody keeps on continuing to comment in the iTunes section. Like I said, we're going to do some giveaways. We got everybody who submitted. Be on the lookout. You'll be getting something, whether that be an email or whether that be something coming to your house, and we'll move from there. But if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, follow us on SoundCloud, but leave comments in the iTunes, and make sure you leave like an Instagram name or a Twitter name so we can contact you at.
Right.
Can I leave my Instagram name?
Sure. What are you on Instagram?
Lillo, Lillo _ Brancato, Brancato.
The way you said that was like
B-I-L.
No.
It's the way I talk into the phone.
The way you said that was like B-I-N-G-O.
Don't worry, internet. As soon as you type in Lillo, it's gonna pop up.
Well, there's that one girl, Lily Galici.
Yeah, but
she got a lot of followers. She got Lily Galici? Go on.
I didn't know when I typed in.
Every time I put Lill, she pops up before me. Who are you? I say.
I got Leland John, little Yachty, and then him.
I don't ever type no more. When I text, I talk.
Like me.
So the phones, the microphone's over there. You get some people, they talk into the screen. I'm like, what are you doing? The microphone's on the bottom. But your phone has got to get familiar, and it's got to learn your voice.
That's a fact.
So I have to talk like this, and he always says something when I do it.
Sick
I do that all the time.
You ever see that show Small Wonder? You remember the show Small Wonder?
No.
She's a small wonder. You remember Vicky was the robot,
the
sister?
robot girl. That was the name of the show.
Hello,
Perfect.
my name is Vicky. And at night they used to take the batteries out of her and put her in the closet.
They used to come at like 5 in the morning.
You don't remember that show?
No, I don't.
I'm going to get you the box set.
I don't
for your
remember
birthday.
that show.
Internet,
listen, we're wrapping up this crazy episode. We'll see you next episode. Lillo Brancato.
That's what they used to call me in school.
Lillo Brancato.
Lillo.
Blessings, my brother.
Thank you. Blessings to you too, my friend.
See you next episode.
God bless you.
Al.